In the heart of battle, as Han Li and his companions clung to life, the azure lightning bolts from the heavens slowly began to fade. For a moment, a flicker of hope sparked within them, but that hope was quickly dashed. As the final crackling sparks of lightning vanished, so too did the giant armored figure that had been tormenting them. Yet, the ominous azure domain lingered, signaling that their trials were far from over. Before they could even catch their breath, swirling azure vortexes erupted from the air, heralding a fresh wave of danger. Countless massive branches, resembling trees themselves, rained down from the heavens. Each branch, over 100 feet long, crashed with ferocity upon the trio. With little time to spare, they fell into a defensive formation, their bodies arranged in a triangular shield to withstand the assault. Han Li's cloud of protection, though battered, repelled most of the attacks. And the sword array surrounding Qilin 9 tore through the branches with sharp, focused precision. But Qilin 17, already weakened from previous injuries and expended energy, found himself struggling to maintain his defenses as the storm of branches continued unabated. "This can't go on forever," Qilin 17 muttered grimly, his voice thick with frustration. "If I had known this mission would bring us to such peril, I would never have taken it. How will we survive, with the Immortal Palace now our enemy?" Qilin 9, his face clouded with thought, spoke with grave seriousness. "It seems we've walked into a trap. Whoever issued this mission likely seeks to ignite conflict between the Transient Guild and the Immortal Palace." Han Li, his brow furrowed with worry, sensed the gravity of their predicament. "Let's focus on survival before we speculate on motives. I have a bad feeling about what's to come." True to his instincts, the worst was yet to arrive. The branches that had been destroyed dissolved into azure light, which seeped into the earth beneath. From this, small seedlings began to sprout and grow at an impossible rate, towering trees soon filling the sky. The forest they found themselves in exuded a powerful wood attribute aura, an environment that threatened to entrap them. "We're going to be trapped here until we perish." Fellow Taoist Qilin 9. "You are the most powerful among us. Do you have a way out?" Qilin 17 demanded, his desperation rising. Qilin 9's face darkened. "We face a golden immortal's avatar, and though its form is lesser, its power is great. Even I am barely holding on. Our only hope lies in defying convention." Defying convention? Qilin 17's eyes sparkled with sudden hope. Han Li's expression remained impassive, but curiosity stirred within him. With their powers suppressed within the azure domain, escape seemed impossible. Even with his treasures, such as the mantra treasured axis and azure bamboo cloud swarm swords, Han Li was unwilling to rely on them, for such actions would attract dangerous consequences. As if reading his thoughts, Qilin 9 revealed a trio of ancient flags, each inscribed with 8 runes, radiating gold, silver, and black. These flags, part of an ancient set, were known as the Triple Origin Great Millet Flags, capable of forming a nearly indestructible defense, but only if all 3 wielded them together. The strain, however, would deplete their immortal spiritual power rapidly. "This is our best shot at survival," Qilin 9 explained. "But we must use the flags solely for defense. Our strength cannot endure prolonged use." Han Li eyed the flags with interest. The runes, though similar to those he had seen on a mysterious stone cauldron in the past, were of little concern now. The priority was their survival. After a hurried explanation, Qilin 9 sent jade slips to both Han Li and Qilin 17, containing the secrets of the flag's usage. Han Li's mind raced as he read through the instructions. The method described within mirrored much of his own studies on the stone cauldron, which could mean a long-awaited breakthrough in his own research. Suddenly, the barrage of branches ceased, leaving them in a newly formed forest of towering trees. Time was running out. "Quickly," urged Qilin 9. "We must activate the flags before it's too late." As the flags rose into the air, each of the trio activated their respective flags, sending streams of spiritual light into them. The immense golden, silver, and black flags shimmered with ancient power. At that moment, a powerful spatial shift signaled the arrival of the golden immortal avatar, now human-sized. "I thought you'd last a little longer, but it's time to end this," it boomed, unleashing azure spiritual light that tore through the air. One of the trees uprooted, transforming into a towering giant, its fists swinging with destructive force. The tree giants that followed struck with all their might, shaking the very earth beneath. Yet, Hanli and his companions stood firm, their flags glowing as they withstood the onslaught. But the golden immortal avatar was relentless, and with a final surge of power, the remaining trees fused into a massive, colossal giant. Its form was now over 20,000 feet tall, and with a swing of its wooden blade, the battle was about to escalate to an unimaginable scale. As the mighty tree giant took shape, it crouched low before propelling itself into the sky. Its wooden saber, glowing with radiant green runes, illuminated the azure sky like a waterfall of light. The strike was a force of nature, crashing down with devastating might. Before it reached Hanli's group, the air quaked with power, and the surrounding elements trembled. The saber hit, causing the black clouds and yellow sand to implode into a violent eruption of colors. Fierce winds swept through, distorting the azure space. But the saber did not continue its descent. Instead, it was repelled upward, and the giant staggered back, its immense form swaying. Hanli's trio stood firm, surrounded by massive flag projections of radiant light, their spiritual power unwavering despite the tremors. With precision, they continued their incantations, merging the flags into a barrier of 3 colors: golden, black, and silver. It shimmered with brilliance, repelling the giant's attacks with ease. Yet, Hanli knew better than to relax. The battle was far from over. The golden immortal avatar, displeased by this, made a hand seal, and the tree giant transformed back into a colossal tree, its leaves swelling, releasing vibrant red flowers that burst into pollen-laden blooms. The mist from the flowers descended upon the trio like a weight, causing drowsiness to creep into their minds. Hanli's spiritual sense jolted him awake, shouting a warning to his companions. Quickly, they restructured their barrier to hold the mist at bay, but the red clouds seeped through, sapping their strength. Their faces grew pale, and exhaustion threatened to overtake them, yet they endured, using immortal origin stones to replenish their strength. The golden immortal avatar, now enraged, declared a more intense retaliation. With a furious gesture, the red flowers ignited in azure flames, and the tree collapsed toward the trio with suffocating force. Desperate, they combined their powers, each pouring their remaining strength into their protective flags. Their treasures summoning radiant barriers, but it was not enough to stop the tree from falling upon them in a cataclysmic crash. The explosion of azure light shattered the space around them, sending the trio flying, their bodies battered and bruised. Yet, as the dust settled, they stood victorious. The golden immortal avatar, now nearly transparent, threatened them with eternal vengeance, promising to hunt them down once it emerged from seclusion. As its form faded, only the golden talisman remained, igniting in flames and turning to ash. "We've survived this, but a greater threat looms," Qilin 9 muttered grimly. "The true Gujie will be much worse." Qilin 17 sighed, despair creeping in. Hanli, ever pragmatic, urged, "We must move quickly. This battle is over, but the war is just beginning." And with that, they prepared to leave, the weight of their newfound enemy lingering in the air. The battle had been fierce, leaving Hanli drained but determined. He swallowed a pill to restore his strength, the effects gradual but effective. Nearby, the heavy water true axis floated weakly, scarred from the earlier clash, a reminder of the battle's toll. Qilin 9, ever the pragmatic, quickly stored away his battered triple origin great millet flags, though their once potent spiritual energy had been sapped. Qilin 17, however, bore the worst injuries. His treasure's seal had been nearly destroyed, but he had survived, a testament to his resilience. The trio, battered but alive, made their way back into the valley, now a scene of ruin. The land, once serene, was unrecognizable. Craters pocked the ground, and lava flickered in the depths, remnants of the earth's fury. The distant mountains had crumbled under the power of the fight. Though the valley was secluded, the aftermath had not gone unnoticed. Rumors would spread, and many would come seeking their fortunes here in the years to come. Qilin 9, suddenly remembering, spoke up. "I'll retrieve the 2 treasures that were at the heart of the array," he said, before setting off. Hanli nodded. "Then I will retrieve the lightning restraining wood." Qilin 17, "Will you keep watch?" The nod from Qilin 17 signified his agreement. Together, they began their task. Ensuring no deception would pass unnoticed, Hanli arrived first, his sleeve sweeping through the air to reveal a streak of azure light. The ground beneath him trembled as a hole was blasted open, revealing a towering piece of golden wood, the lightning restraining wood. An ethereal material that could absorb lightning's power gleamed with an unnatural beauty. Hanli had read of such wood before, rare, and essential in the crafting of lightning-imbued treasures. He quickly extracted it and moved to the next location, soon retrieving all 81 pieces buried throughout the valley. Meanwhile, Qilin 9 and Qilin 17 had also found what they sought, 2 ancient treasures, a golden sword and a golden mirror. Both radiated a formidable presence, their spiritual energy unmatched. The mirror, with its fierce tiger engraving, and the sword, marked with 9 golden stars, were relics of immense power. Qilin 17, however, had also unearthed a golden pill cauldron and a storage bracelet, relics of the white-haired man they had slain. These were promising finds, but an air of unease hung over them. "What is it?" Hanli asked, his senses alert. Qilin 17 gestured toward the cauldron. "Examine it." Hanli's spiritual sense delved into the cauldron. A surge of scorching power greeted him, but his determination broke through the barriers. Within the cauldron, a purple pill floated, a failed refinement, the majority of its essence charred away. His suspicion grew. This had once been a Dao pill. "Ping Yaozi," Qilin 9 spoke grimly, "a renowned earthly pill master, possibly even a heavenly pill master. He's a figure of legend in the northern glacial immortal region. If he has fallen, this will be a loss felt deeply." Hanli's mind raced. If Ping Yaozi had indeed achieved the rank of heavenly pill master, his death at their hands would lead to dire consequences. Gujie, already hunting them, would now be even more relentless. They were in deeper trouble than they had imagined. But as Qilin 9 spoke with resolve, Hanli's own determination steeled. "The northern glacial immortal region is vast. We can evade pursuit if we prepare properly," he said, and Qilin 17 agreed. "Let's divide the spoils and leave swiftly." The contents of the white-haired man's storage bracelet were laid out before them, rich with spiritual treasures and rare ingredients. Among them, Hanli's eyes lingered on the horned dragon herbs, aged over 50,000 years, prime materials for refining spring rain pills. These herbs alone were worth a fortune. But the true treasures lay in the other materials and artifacts scattered around. White jade vials, a purple jade box, and immortal origin stones, all brimming with potential. As Qilin 9 examined the items, Hanli noticed his gaze linger on a peculiar black badge, its faint glow unmistakable. "That's from the ubiquitous pavilion," Qilin 17 remarked. Could it be that Ping Yaozi had ties there? Qilin 9 dismissed it with a flick of his hand. Whether or not he had ties to the pavilion matters little now. What matters is what comes next. He handed the storage bracelet to Hanli, who, after a cursory examination, set it aside. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but they were ready for whatever came next. The pursuit of the Great Tao had never been without its trials, and they would face this one with all their strength. In the depths of the cavern, a tense silence hung as Qilin 17, eyes gleaming, broke it with a soft query. "Have either of you thought about how we should divide the spoils?" His tongue flicked across dry lips as he eyed the riches before them. Qilin 9, ever the composed one, was already studying the jade vials, his fingers brushing one to draw it near. He twisted the stopper, and the air was filled with a fragrance so pure, so rejuvenating, it seemed to melt the weariness from their bones. Hanli followed suit, uncorking the other vial, feeling a similar rush of vitality. Inside, a dozen pills shimmered faintly, yellow, potent, unknown. "Dawnluster pills," Qilin 17 muttered, his voice rising with eager recognition. "Ping Yaozi must have prepared these for himself," Qilin 9 mused, his brow furrowing slightly. Setting the vial aside, he reached for a purple jade box adorned with an intricate silver talisman. His fingers traced the arcane symbols, weaving incantations, yet the box resisted with an impenetrable silver light. Qilin 9's expression darkened as he pressed his palm against the box, his energy flaring in golden light. Hanli, standing back, exchanged a glance with Qilin 17, both silently noting the intensity of the struggle. The more secure the box, the more precious its contents. They knew it. This box held something of immense value, and Qilin 9, despite his late true immortal strength, was now battling a force that threatened to consume him. A storm of light clashed as golden and silver forces intertwined, pushing and pulling in a violent standoff. Sweat beaded on Qilin 9's brow, his will unwavering, but still, the silver light remained, defiant. Moments passed, and Qilin 9's golden light flared so intensely, the silver barrier began to waver. Just as victory seemed within grasp, the jade box's aura flickered ominously. Qilin 9 recoiled, eyes wide in realization. "Stop!" he barked, his voice sharp with warning. "There's a self-destruction trap hidden deep within. If we persist, the box and all within will be destroyed." A moment of shock passed through them all, none more so than Qilin 17, who felt the sting of frustration. "Can it be undone?" Qilin 17 asked, desperation seeping into his voice. "I need time," Qilin 9 said, his gaze dark and thoughtful. "But it's not impossible, with the right preparation." Eager, Qilin 17 took up the box. A stream of yellow light burst from his palm, but the box responded with a shield of silver, repelling his efforts. His brow furrowed as he summoned more energy, his seals swift, his focus absolute. But even with all his might, the silver light burned brighter, snapping his threads of yellow light as if they were mere reeds. "Ridiculous!" Qilin 17 hissed, stepping back in frustration. "This is beyond me." Qilin 9 sighed, but his eyes glinted with calculation. "Fellow Taoist Worm 15, would you be willing to give it a try? Perhaps your methods will succeed where ours have failed." Hanli nodded, stepping forward, though his tone was cautious. "I doubt I can do better, but I will try." He extended his hand, azure light swirling, the air vibrating with arcane energy. Yet, like the others, the box resisted his power. The silver light surged, tearing through his azure threads in an instant. Hanli's expression was one of calm defeat as he set the box back on the ground. "Seems this restriction is beyond us all," Hanli mused, his voice low but determined. "Let us, then, focus on the division of the remaining treasures," Qilin 9 suggested, his tone calm once more, albeit with a glint of resolve. "The spirit plants, the materials, the pills, those can be split evenly, but the cauldron, the treasures, and the jade box are a different matter." Qilin 17, eager to claim the prize, proposed a simple division. One would take the cauldron, another the treasures, and the third the jade box. "How about I take the cauldron?" he asked, eyes gleaming with greed. "Ah, I, too, have a great interest in pill refinement," Qilin 9 remarked, a sly smile curling his lips. The air between them thickened, and Qilin 17's eyes darkened. Hanli, standing aside, silently assessed his options. The cauldron, an immortal treasure, was the most coveted item, though its allure was laced with danger. As his spiritual sense scanned the artifact, unease stirred within him. Something about the cauldron felt off, as though it concealed a deeper mystery. Was it a trap? His instinct screamed caution. Qilin 17, sensing Hanli's reluctance, offered, "I have been at the mid-true immortal stage for years. This cauldron could aid me greatly in my pill refining. If you both allow me to take it, I'll give up a third of the spoils." But Qilin 9, ever the shrewd negotiator, had his own desires. "I've sought a suitable cauldron for centuries. If you two can give it to me, I'll surrender 2/3 of my portion." Hanli, tempted but cautious, eyed the cauldron once more. There was no denying its power. Yet the price was steep. Would claiming it bring more danger than reward? Seeing Qilin 17's determined expression, Hanli stepped forward. "I can see you are determined. Very well, the cauldron is yours. But I'll be sure to remember this," he added with a faint smile, knowing his words would sting. Qilin 17, while grateful, couldn't suppress a pang of discomfort. Yet, with a sharp motion, he stowed the cauldron away, though the materials surrounding it seemed to weigh on his heart. Turning to Hanli, Qilin 9 offered, "Which of the remaining items would you prefer? Fellow Taoist Worm 15? Hanli thought for a moment. "I lost 2 sets of flying swords. I'll take the treasures to replace them." "But these are metal attribute," Qilin 9 noted with a raised brow. "Aren't you focused on water attribute cultivation? The jade box, however, may hold something more suited to your path." Hanli considered the jade box, its restrictions a puzzle he would prefer not to solve. "I will take the treasures. The box is too troublesome for me, for now." The three cultivators shared a glance, each aware that despite their shared victory, this treasure hunt had only just begun. In the quiet shadows of the valley, Qilin Nine's voice broke the stillness as he addressed Han Li, his eyes gleaming with quiet resolve. Fellow Taoist Worm 15, it was your skill that led us through the labyrinthine restrictions of this place. Surely, you can open this box, for if you can't, my chances are even slimmer. You wouldn't abandon me now, would you? His words, a sharp challenge, pierced the air. Han Li, ever composed, shook his head lightly. Your kindness overwhelms me, fellow Taoist. But, alas, my chances of opening this box are less than 10%. Your cultivation and your connections within the Transient Guild must surely lead you to someone capable of bypassing such restrictions. A brief silence fell, and Qilin Nine's eyes narrowed, as if contemplating a weighty decision. I see your intention now, to reclaim your losses through the treasures here. Very well. Aside from the jade box and the failed pill, I offer you a 60-40 split of the rest. You will have the greater share, as is fair. Han Li's brows furrowed ever so slightly, his mind turning. I can accept that, but I have one condition. The horned dragon herbs and the lightning restraining wood are vital for my work. Would you be willing to let me take those? In exchange, I will allow you to select items of equal value from the rest. Qilin Nine did not hesitate, a smile curling his lips. No problem at all, fellow Taoist. You have my gratitude. With a flick of his sleeve, golden light erupted, claiming the treasures around them. Han Li, in turn, waved his hand, azure light snatching the jade box and the failed pill. With the treasures divvied up, Qilin Nine set fire to Ping Yaozi's remains, reducing them to ashes. Time is of the essence. Let us depart, he urged. Han Li offered only a quiet sigh, his thoughts veiled, as the trio swiftly flew out of the valley like streaks of light. Months later, they emerged at Smoke Tomb Island, their mission now a distant echo. Qilin Nine, ever pragmatic, handed over storage pouches, their contents marking the end of their shared ordeal. Han Li, after a cursory examination, nodded and accepted. I still have matters to attend to, he murmured, signaling his departure. Qilin 17 followed suit, leaving with a wave. Yet Han Li's words lingered, his voice laced with suspicion. The reward does not match the risk? Surely you knew more about this mission than you've let on? Qilin 9 raised an eyebrow, responding with mock surprise. What are you suggesting, fellow Taoist? Han Li's gaze sharpened, voice low and knowing. I assume the true reward is far greater than what you've shown us. I will leave you to your calculations. With that, Han Li disappeared into the distance, a streak of azure light vanishing into the vast sky. As Han Li flew, a faint smile tugged at his lips. He knew the jade box held secrets, and though the failed pill had not succeeded, it still held value. As for the restrictions upon the box, they had already been unraveled in his mind during their earlier conversation. He had simply kept his plans hidden. There was no need to reveal such truths to his companions, for doing so would risk trouble and lessen his share of the spoils. Months passed, and Han Li found himself in the Bell Toll Mountain Range, seated in his cave abode on Crimson Dawn Peak. His servants, who had progressed steadily in their cultivation, gathered before him. Meng Yanggui, a trusted ally, relayed the absence of Sun Buzheng, who was deep in seclusion. Han Li, ever vigilant, prepared to leave once again, his departure weighing heavily on his heart. He instructed Meng Yanggui to keep the Crimson Dawn Peak closed, with orders to focus solely on cultivation, ensuring resources were distributed to the faithful. Before the others could depart, Han Li beckoned Meng Qianqian to stay behind, a gesture that sparked curiosity in her. I've seen the egg you've been caring for, Han Li remarked, his tone approving. It still hasn't hatched, but it holds great vitality. Meng Qianqian bowed her head, guilt in her eyes. I'm sorry for not being able to hatch it yet. Han Li smiled warmly. Don't be too hard on yourself. It is the will of fate. Continue your care. He handed her a vial of fire essence pills, a token for her cultivation. Thank you, elderly, Meng Qianqian said, her face lighting up with gratitude. But as she turned to leave, Han Li's demeanor shifted. I'm leaving again, and you will care for the egg. Do not worry about me. I am not easily harmed, he reassured her, masking his true feelings. After she left, Han Li's smile faded, replaced by a grim expression. Though he had brushed aside Meng Qianqian's worries, he knew that her concerns weren't unfounded. his recent troubles were far from over. The transient guild's reveal of Gujie's involvement, along with the shadow of the northern glacial immortal palace, left him no choice but to remain hidden. With a final look at the peak, Hanli rose and took flight, prepared to disappear once more into the vastness of the world, his heart heavy with the burden of what was yet to come.